Hello, YouTube. It's your favorite baby boomer or Payne here. You're on Unique Sports Talk. You know what? I had to come back to a second part of this reaction video to Sherrone Moore and his total destruction, self-imposed, self-inflicted destruction, and his fall from grace. I mean, more and more stuff is coming out, right? And I know a lot of people are hearing this story. A lot of real good content creators are probably doing some kind of reaction videos to this. But I mean, just on a man level, it's nothing to laugh at. Even though I think disappointment is kind of an understatement. But if you look at the daisy chain of events to where this guy now is essentially on deletion watch in this little cubby hole in all white, people worried about him already threatening to hurt himself. He turned a woman who was giving him consensual sex into a victim, and he turned himself into a perpetrator. And then he loses a $6 million job, and he loses, more importantly, loses contact with his family and children. And how do how do you fall from grace? A lot of people don't realize that a Michigan University of Michigan head coaching job is probably one of the top five head coaching jobs in the United States. And the only reason why he was only making $5.5 million is because he was coming in after Harbaugh, who was probably making more like 15. Right? He had to prove himself. You know what I'm saying? He was under a microscope. Now, I agree with some other guys who say, listen, he is not a referendum on black coaches. This is his deal. All black coaches can't be measured by this guy fumbling the bag. But let's talk about the bag though, right? Apparently he was fooling around with this chick, right, for several years. It's not like it was just like a recent I hit it once or twice. He actually, I gotta say, he fell in love with the side chick, right? This guy is 40 years old. So listen, I know a lot of people hate baby boomers, and I'm gonna tell you fucking guys this, all right? I'm tired of that, but I can dig it, right? There was enough baby boomers who messed up. I The last time a woman blew my nose out where I was stupid about her, I was 19 years old. I wasn't 40. I was 19 years old. And a woman never, ever had me like that again in my whole entire life. Now, my dating life was only 10 years, maybe 9 before I met my wife, but I never was that broken again. Once I learned my lesson at 19, this dude is 40 and he's a millennial, God damn it. He ain't no ex, he ain't no baby boomer. He's one of you young, stupid motherfuckers. So I just had to say that because everybody likes to shit on baby boomers. This guy is not one of us. Okay. And we didn't teach him this either. I know I didn't. And the fellas I know didn't teach him this. Well, anyway, so getting back on track. Okay. So he falls in love with this chick because that's the only way I could justify it. And one of the things I knew as a married man on why I wouldn't cheat is because, some of us non select guys have to cultivate relationships to get by. And I couldn't see myself being married, cultivating a relationship with any other woman. It just didn't make sense to me, right? With all the stuff you have to lose. And I didn't have $5 million to lose. So here's the daisy chains of events. Uh, the university suspected him of cheating with her, so they called them both in. And at the time, they both lied. No, we're not really fooling around with each other. But the university says, listen, okay, we can't prove it because both of you guys are denying it. All right, so that's cool. But they told him that she needs to transfer to another position. She can no longer, whatever capacity that she was in, probably was in close proximity to him and the team and probably the spotlight. So When they broke them up, when they said, you got to move, she got to move, I have a feeling she didn't want to really move. You know, I think she was going to make a big stink out of it moving. And then the real thing is she got pregnant. And, you know, if you read some reports, they say he forced her to get an abortion, right? That's a lie. There's not a man, no, men don't force, I mean, for the most part, okay? A man in his spotlight can't force a woman to go delete her baby. Her woman, her body, her choice. There's no such thing as a regular man of. I'm not talking about street bums and people in the underbelly of society. You know, some men can force women to do anything, but she's a daughter of a prominent figure, and she's in the spotlight, and so is he. He's not forcing her to get rid of a baby. You know, so that term is a lie. And the media is perpetuating a lie to build her up as a victim. Okay. She might have wanted to keep the kid, but if she did really want to keep the kid, she would have done it. There's no way he could have stopped her from doing it. So let's get back to her having to leave the employee that was under him. I think this is my you know, I suppose this supposition. This is my supposition that she didn't want to leave the spotlight. And so, in order for him to comply with the university, he had to get rid of her from the standpoint she had to move. So, instead of finding somebody else to move her, he tries to fire her. He tries to fire a woman that's his subordinate that he's banging out on a regular basis. And obviously, you know, that's when she decided, one, okay, I had an abortion for this guy, and then he rewards me with trying to fire me, right? You know, I'm hearing these stories, so you know, let's just say it's true, allegedly. So she says, you know what, I got all the cards. She has absolutely all the cards, and we went over this in part one. When HR has a rule that, you know, almost every business in America has a rule that supervisors and, you know, you can't fool with your subordinates, your direct line of subordinates. You can't have a sexual relationship with them because there's an imbalance, right? It's a civil imbalance. It's you open up the university for millions of dollars of lawsuits if you do that, right? Unlike, you know, in a criminal statutory situation, when a man or a woman fools around with somebody who can't consent legally, like a 14-year-old or something like that. So in this case, she's being treated like a little kid. So even if she was sexually enamored with him, she couldn't really consent where they would respect her consent because he is not supposed to be banging out his subordinates. And so then when we don't have to go after that. He should have already known that with all the trim in the world, with all the money that you have, with all the access, and with all the opportunity you could find to get somebody who you could pay to just walk away, the last woman you should have sex with is a woman in your employ. It can't be that. She could not be that exciting. And now I know a lot of black women are talking about snow bunny this and snow bunny that. You know, it has nothing to do. I mean, maybe it does, right? That she's a snow bunny. But you know what? Black men have, listen, black women, let me tell you something. I just want to let you know that there's plenty of black men who fumbled the black bag over black women. Okay? So the white women ain't leaving y'all behind. There's plenty of black men who fumbled the bag over black women, whether they married them without a prenup or they did something stupid and a black woman took them to the cleaners. So you and the white women, you're running neck and neck with being able to, you know, see a man fumble a bag over y'all. So don't feel left out. Don't feel left out. So I'm gonna show a clip of the news of what kind of trouble he's in. And I want you guys to kind of picture this, right? You are You go from, in a matter of what, maybe 2 weeks or a week, you go from a man who's in charge of one of the most coveted football teams in the world, but let's just say America, okay, to a guy who's in a little box in a white uniform, handcuffed, being admonished by the judge and being accused of all kinds of heinous things. So wouldn't that cause some people to snap? The wife is probably gone. His access to his children is probably, is going to be minimized for at least for a while, and for forever until they're grown, right? Because he's never going to have the right to be around them. I think the wife is probably going to divorce him over this, right? And the fall from grace is tremendous, right? He doesn't even look like the same football coach in his demeanor, with the shoulders slumped forward and the way he was commanding men. And now this is not just an affair, guys. This is not just a man having sex with a woman. He did something more. He crossed the Rubicon to where he threatened to, delete himself, the woman, the stalking. Oh, it's just incredible. And I just can't get past how a man could fall from grace so much over some box. You guys who are still single out there, right? Can you tell me, is the allure of a new piece of trim still that crazy? I mean, before I got married, right? I was no guy who had millions of girls, but you know what, man? I wasn't that, at one point, I didn't have no trouble getting girlfriends. And I had some nice encounters. But I never thought about giving up everything for some trim. Well, anyway, so let's listen to, I'm just going off because I can't really believe that this guy has done what he's done. But here he is. He's a buck broken man. And of course, I got a theme song for that one too. So let's go to the newscaster. Let's see what they say about this guy. Okay? So here we go. All right. It's not too long.
Is appearing in court on Wednesday. As you may know, he was fired as coach, and then shortly after he was arrested. Now we have learned that he's facing 3 charges: home invasion, stalking, and breaking and entering. The university has said that Sherrone was fired for cause after finding out he was engaged in, quote, an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. We are looking at his first court appearance. Let's listen in.
In light of fired for cause, she said that specifically that for cause they don't have to pay him anymore, and his contract went to 2029. So it's just getting started, and he got fired for cause. It's 2025, y'all. It's 4 more years of almost $6 million a year that he blew.
Factual scenario that gives rise to these charges. My best understanding from a thorough review of the police report and as much body-worn camera as I've had an opportunity to review is that I understand that our victim broke up. They had an intimate relationship for a number of years, defendant and victim, that our victim broke up with this defendant on Monday morning early, that there continued to be defendant making numerous phone calls and sending numerous texts from that time moving forward that she did not answer, did not respond to, and did not want. That eventually she presented herself to the University of Michigan, cooperated in some form of investigation there. As we all now know, defendant was at some point on Wednesday afternoon fired from his employment. He then, at some point soon thereafter, came to her apartment in the address that is alleged in the complaint, barged his way into that apartment, immediately then proceeded to a kitchen drawer, grabbed several butter knives and a pair of kitchen scissors, and began to threaten his own life. I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to make you watch. My blood is on your hands. You ruined my life. And a series of very, very threatening, intimidating, terrifying, quite frankly, statements and behaviors there in that apartment. It was only then, Your Honor, when the victim, she called her attorney and then at some point indicated she was going to call the police, and then he left.
Well, one of the things that she didn't say, and I mean, she might get around to it, I don't know, is that his wife is the one who called the police because he had threatened to kill himself once it came out to her. And I can't imagine the kind of tongue lashing she was giving him. And, she probably already dropped the D word on him. And he says, well, it's all over for me. And so he left her house with the knife or, whatever they said. And she called the police saying that he was threatening to hurt himself. And of course, I guess she did the right thing. But, with black men and the police, when you call them and say they're dangerous, police automatically think that, we might have to off this MNFer. You know what I'm saying? So luckily that didn't happen to him. But again, she was right because he went to another house and threatened another woman with bodily harm.
And so, Your Honor, while I understand that there isn't evidence to suggest that he directly threatened the victim with any of those implements that I've indicated, the totality of the behavior is highly threatening and highly intimidating. She was terrorized, Your Honor.
Mr. Moore, could you state your name, please?
Sherrone Moore.
Sir, you are not to use alcohol, marijuana, or any other controlled substance that is not prescribed to you. You are not to possess or purchase a firearm or any other dangerous weapon. You are not to engage in criminal conduct of any kind whatsoever. You may not leave the state of Michigan without permission of the court. Prior to your release, you will be placed on a GPS tether. You will not be released before that GPS tether is placed upon you. You must continue all mental health treatment as a condition of your bond. The named victim in this case will not be placed on the record. You may not have contact with that individual. That means no calling, no writing, no video chatting, no texting, no emailing, or any other form of contact the human mind can possibly fathom.
And for those of you who want to know who the woman's name is, I found a couple of places where I forgot. It's really not that important on what her name is, other than to satisfy, some bloodlust, because she was the adulteress in this whole situation. Except he turned her into a real victim. But I think she might be seeing some blood in the streets. In terms of being able to get paid as well, because the university is shaking in its boots with this woman because she has a lawsuit that could be worth millions. And I would imagine there's lawyers knocking down her door to set her up for a civil suit against the university. There's just no doubt about it. That's just got to be coming.
No one in the world thinks that this person is going to reach out to you. Should they do so? And again, no one thinks that they're going to. You may not reply in any form or fashion. The named victim's address will not be placed on the record. You may not go to that location for any reason whatsoever. Are we understood on the no contact and no go to, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you have any questions about that, you have a good attorney, simply ask them. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, you could tell by his demeanor. You heard the admonishment. You heard all of this stuff. There might be some more. You could check this out yourself. I think it's a little.
Bond will be set in the amount of $25,000 cash surety, as requested by the prosecution's office.
So, what do y'all think about the bail? The bail, 25 grand. It's not excessive at all. Essentially, they're releasing him with a a damn leg monitor, and he's got all these other restrictions. And I don't know where he's going. It's not clear that he's going to his house with his wife. I don't know if they say that here. I don't know if they're going to get to that, but it's not clear where he's going to go.
The court does not determine innocence or guilt. This court determines flight risk and community safety. The court finds with these conditions in place, it has been met. Mr. Simon, we are setting probable cause conference at this time for January 8th due to the holidays and scheduling. Is that a good court date for you?
Shaq, you've been covering this for days. We learned a lot in that hearing from the prosecutor. I was summing it up before you came outside, but this is a lot of new information about this relationship that we didn't know before.
Yeah. Absolutely, and it kind of backs up the timeline a little bit. This all started, we were caught wind of this on Wednesday, of course, when we first heard from the university about his firing. But based on what the prosecution was saying, this is something that dates back to Monday, when apparently a relationship between the former coach of Michigan football and an unnamed woman by design, broke up. And according to the prosecutor, that's what led to this series of stalking, a lot of text messages and phone calls. And then after apparently she went to the university on Wednesday, that's when he showed up at her house again, according to the prosecutors. Now, all
right, so we don't have to rehash that. Listen, all I'm saying is, there was more to the story. He fell for this woman to the point that he not only gave up his family, he treated her like a woman that he couldn't live without. I mean, that I can't even get my head around that, right? All you nasty bastards are out there who's sleeping in the streets. Tell me, is there box that's making you go crazy like that now? Really, that I'm gonna give up everything for an intimate moment with some chick? Is that really what some of you guys are still doing? And this guy is on top of the world. But you know what? A president did it. The CEO and coach of the Boston Celtics did it. Just men doing this shit all the time. And I know, okay, I'm asking a rhetorical question, that there's not one piece of box in this entire world that measures up to a man giving up everything for it. It's just incredibly, you got to be incredibly broken to do that. You really do. And I don't care how, if you're, and listen, I ain't a handsome guy. I mean, a handsome man should be saying what I'm saying right now, who can get box on a regular basis. If you got money, you can get box anywhere. It just doesn't make any sense. So he broke himself. He broke his family. He put a stain on his last name, for some box. It's just crazy, man. Anyway, so that's enough for me. What the hell? What do I know? You know what I'm saying? So we're going to just end with this. And of course, me, I like to play my theme songs to situations. And I got a perfect one for my man right now. And you guys can listen up or log out, whatever the hell you want to do. Anyway, here you go.
With a heavy heart, the weight of dreams lost, tearing me apart. With shattered hopes, I chased the fading light. A buck broken man lost in the night. Memories, they haunt my mind. Truth's a cruel mistress, just hard to find. Oh, but broken man. I stare at shadows that dance on the wall. Each echo whispers of my rise and fall. The blues play soft, but you broken life, I'm gasping for air. With every sorrow, lesson learned. In the fire of struggle, my spirit burns. The road is long and the nights are cold. The story of a man with a heart of gold. Through the pain and tears, I still will stand, searching for hope. I'm a but broken man. In the silence, I'll find my way. Above broken man will live another
Or Payne, your favorite baby boomer, over and out.